Good morning, everyone, and happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful Liberty mothers, including my own mom, Sister Julie. Hi, Mommy, you look very pretty. This year is my first year celebrating Mother's Day as a mom myself, and I am feeling so many different things. There's so many layers to being a mom that I never knew about, and I feel like I need to apologize to every single mom that I never helped or checked in on or offered my support in some way in the past. Because mom really holds the key to everything that goes down in the home. All my life, I was a daddy's girl until I became a mom, and I realized that all of the things that my dad did for me was probably orchestrated by my mom. Sorry, Daddy. I'll give you a speech for Father's Day, I'm sorry. For example, my dad picks me up every day from the train station after work. But I guarantee you that it's Sister Julie who calls him to remind him of what time I get off of work and that he needs to take off the TV and come pick me up. I'm still a daddy's girl at heart, but I just have a lot more understanding for moms now. Anyways, I think most of you might have heard my story before. I was born and raised in this church. My parents, Brother Haro and Sister Julie, they're the greatest parents in the world, and we've been a part of Liberty Church for 30 plus years. And for each and every one of those years, my parents made sure that my brother and I were in this church. Doesn't matter sun, hail, rain, or shine, we were in this building. I remember at one point when I was just a teenager, I was in this church almost every day of the week. Back when we had Monday night intercessory prayers, Tuesday night prayer meeting, Wednesday night choir practice, Thursday night dance practice, and Friday night youth service. We were always here. You see, my parents didn't just tell us to put God first, they showed us how to put God first. And I'm convinced that it is because of that foundation that I am where I am today. All of my life, I have felt God's hands and abundant favor on me. I joke around with my husband all the time, and I tell him that I'm God's favorite, and he better not mess with me. I say that because of the things that have happened in my life. It doesn't make sense if you try to explain it without God. I get asked all the time, oh, Sister Nirupa, how did you get a full scholarship into law school? Or how did you become a corporate lawyer? And to be honest, I really have no idea myself. The only explanation that makes sense is that God has been looking out for me way before I ever began looking to him. As a quick recap, for those who really don't know my story, I went to one of the lowest graded high schools in New York City. I went to John Adams High School back when it was on the brink of closing because of how bad it was. Everyone said that I would turn out bad or I'd go down the wrong path if I go to that school, but I came out with flying colors. After that, I went to a CUNY school, which was a city college. It was free. And when I went there, I always knew I wanted to go to law school, so I started telling people, how do I apply to law school? What do I need to do? What should I be doing right now? And everyone started to discourage. They said that, how are you going to pay for law school? Law school is going to put you in debt. You're going to end up coming out with $300,000 in student loans. And I was so worried about how I was going to pay for it, and I really expected to go into debt. But I had nothing to worry about. Because while I was going crazy, applying to 28 different law schools all over the United States, there in the junk folder of my email was an email from Hofstra University School of Law offering me a full scholarship for all 3 years. If only I checked my junk folder. And the entire time that I was in law school, I never took my eyes off of God. They tell you in law school that you won't have any time for personal affairs or any personal time because it takes up 100% of your free time. But they didn't know Brother Haro and Sister Julie. If anyone could find time for God, it would be these two. Mom would pray for me while I studied all hours of the night, and Dad would pray for me as he drove to school in the morning. Sometimes he'd close his eye behind the wheel, and it would scare me. Actually, when I studied late at night, my mom would get up nighttime to use the bathroom, and she'd start praying for me, half asleep, walking up and down the hallway. And I thought she was weird talking to herself nighttime, not realizing that she was praying for me without ceasing. And that's a mother for you. That's a mother's mind for you. It never turns off, even when they're asleep. After defeating the odds and doing extremely well in law school, thank God, God opened the doors for me to land jobs at the highest law firm in the country. I became a corporate lawyer and was working on corporate transaction deals worth billions of dollars. I was living the high life, some of you guys might say, and I was getting trained by the best corporate attorneys in the world. But that high life comes at a price. And in order to stay in those jobs, it meant working extremely long hours and being on demand, working 24/7. I had to work so much that I had to take a step back from the things that I was involved in, including my roles that I held in this church. I had to take a break from Sunday school. I took a break from youth service. I had to step down from some of these things just to make time for work. About 2 years ago, I started praying for an easier job. I said I still wanted a good job where I could be a corporate attorney, but something that could allow me to have my life and allow me to serve God in the way that I always wanted to. And like always, God answered my prayers, and He gave me my dream job. It was the greatest job I ever had. I enjoyed every minute working there. I made friends. I got my life back again. I started getting involved in Sunday school again, and I had time to serve God once again. And I was happy. On Christmas Day, I gave birth to my amazing daughter, Lily Bella Sahadio. She's probably sleeping right now. And I was the happiest woman on earth. God gave me a safe delivery and the sweetest, healthy baby like I prayed for. And my family was complete. With having the job of my dreams and my family growing, I was there just learning to be a mother. I was planning our future. And I was just truly enjoying my baby and my family. About 1 month into my maternity leave, in the midst of my happiness, I got a phone call from HR that I had been laid off from my dream job, along with 200 other employees. It was a scary time, and I was absolutely devastated. For the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to cry about the loss of a job. As an attorney, a corporate attorney, you're not supposed to be crying all over the place. You're supposed to be tough. But this one really hurt me. This layoff hurt me. It was my dream job, and I was a brand new mother with a family that relies on my income. My husband and I was planning our future with our daughter. We were setting goals for each other. And when I got the news, I felt like somebody hit me with a car. How could I be laid off? How could God give me this job? Who could take it away? And I didn't understand what was happening. But nonetheless, I held on. I held on even when it hurt and it didn't make sense. I held on to God even when I was in the thick of being a new mom, tired and frustrated, worried about what kind of life I'd be able to give my daughter if I didn't find a job soon. But I had no choice. I had to pull myself together. I had to keep trusting God, and I had to lean on my family for support. Thank you, Mommy. I stayed up all hours of the night, sometimes even with my newborn in my hand, just praying and crying out to God for Him to make a way for me, to do it again, to place me in a job that allows me the freedom to serve Him and to be present as a new mother. For the next few months, I searched and searched for a job, but this time I didn't wait until I had free time to include God. I made time for God, whether I had the time or not. I figured that I had to get back to that place where God brazenly came first. I couldn't squeeze God into my calendar or choose to serve Him whenever my life was quiet. I had to chase after Him regardless of my schedule and wherever I worked. Today, I'd like to testify that God opened a door for me to start a new job as Director of Legal and Compliance at a union. This job is not only multiple titles above the job that I left, but it is also 100% protected by a union. So I cannot lose my job. Once again, God has shown me His divine favor and reminded me of the reward that comes with putting Him first no matter what. And I was really afraid to tell my story today because I know the stigma that's associated with being laid off. I know sometimes being laid off gives people the wrong idea about what kind of worker you are. But I felt that I had to share my story. Because God may allow certain things to happen, but He is always faithful to His children, especially those that trust and believe in Him. Now I can be there to raise my daughter, and this time I'm going to make sure that I show her how to put God first, the way that my parents showed me. And now more than ever more, I truly believe that I am God's favorite. Thank you, Pastor Joe. Thank you, Auntie Reen, for giving me a chance to share my testimony.
Hallelujah.
I'm so happy to grow up in this church, and I hope you don't mind when I bring my daughter here 7 days a week.